wish you a very Merry Christmas. And I wish you a happy holiday. And if you don't celebrate any holidays, I just wish you well. Take care of yourself. And if you have time, take care of each other. Good night.
What a marvelous man. What's so marvelous?
Oh, hey there. Yeah, welcome. Come in. Welcome to class. Last lecture of the semester. Everybody excited? I can tell by those vacant looks that you are. Alright, come on in. It's a cold one, isn't it? Alright, come on, come on. Come on in. Oh, boy. Alright. Yeah, let's do this one more time, then we can all go home. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a story that needs no introduction.
They sing without juicers. They sing without blenders. They sing without flungers, cap dabblers, and smendlers.
You're a mean one, Mr. Nerd.
The Who's love Christmas, the Grinch hates Christmas, and the Grinch tries to steal Christmas but learns that Christmas means a little more than the toys and decorations he stole. The children's book by Dr. Seuss remains one of the more influential works of Christmas media, a simple fable with a simple moral, presented in a way that's whimsical and creative. There's been three main screen adaptations of The Grinch over the years. The 1966 animated short film narrated by Boris Karloff, the live-action 2000 film starring Jim Carrey and narrated by Anthony Hopkins, and finally the 3D animated film by Illumination starring Benedict Cumberbatch and narrated by Pharrell Williams. All of these adaptations have their own strengths and weaknesses, emphasis on weaknesses for one of them, and as someone who, probably like you, was raised on more than one version of the Grinch, I've often wondered which of these three versions are the best of them all. This is sadly outside of my scope. There probably exists an academic way to go about film analysis in order to determine, in more objective terms, which of these three is the best work of art. I mean, remember, despite this chalkboard and the coat, I'm not an actual professor of anything, and it's frankly a travesty that I'm allowed to teach here at all. But I digress. Due to my lacking higher education, we will not be determining which Grinch is the best, but instead I'll explain which one I enjoy the most, and exactly why that is. Oh wait, I'm recording this wrong.
Fahu Forest, Dahu Doris, welcome Christmas, bring your light.
The 1966 animated short is obviously a Christmas classic. The animation is great for television of the time, and the music and voice acting holds up well. Boris Karloff was best known for his role as Frankenstein's monster, and famously starred in a lot of horror movies, but he took his deep, rumbly voice and used it to great effect, portraying both the Grinch's smoldering malice, as well as fulfilling the job of a warm, wizened storybook narrator.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was no more than two.
One of the things that struck me about the Grinch was how playful he is. The future versions of the Grinch may be better known for their quirks, but outside of the opening sequence where the Grinch is brooding and scheming, we actually see him having a lot of fun while stealing Christmas. It's a fun bit of characterization. Keeping true to the original book, the reason the Grinch hates Christmas is kept kind of vague, but is chalked up to his heart being two sizes too small. In hindsight, this is kind of interesting because while the moral of the story is that Christmas is not about consumerism and gifts, but actually goodwill and togetherness, the Grinch is almost portrayed as a fool for hating the commercial aspect. The Who's aren't shown second-guessing for even an instant. They wake up with all their toys gone and immediately go, oh well, we didn't need them anyway. The moral of the story is that Christmas means more than gifts and presents, but at the same time, the reaction of the Who's is almost to say, and we never forgot that, and you, Grinch, are an idiot for thinking we ever lost sight of it. Still, this is an excellent adaptation of The Grinch. I mean, its influence on every version afterward is undeniable, with both the famous Grinch song as well as the interpretation of what it is the Who sing on Christmas Day. I bet you didn't know that this scene of the Grinch lifting the sleigh to save all the presents he stole so that he can return them to Whoville wasn't even in the original book. This scene that is a staple of The Grinch came from this adaptation. My favorite moment of the special is definitely the part where the Who's are singing on Christmas morning. The first time we're shown this, they're surrounding a Christmas tree, but at the end they're forming a circle around nothing, showing that the tree was only a symbol of the Christmas spirit and isn't actually needed. As they sing, we see a ball of light form in the center, and then begin to rise, reaching where the star on the tree used to be, before rising even higher into the sky. The spirit of the holiday rising higher than the material symbol that represented it. The rising music, the Who's singing in unison, it all gives the scene of a sort of magical quality that's hard to place. The 1966 version kept its story simple and delivered that story impeccably with plenty of skill and class. It's easy to see why it's so well loved and remembered.
Way up in the mountains, in the high range of Pontoos, lay the small town of Whoville, the home of the Who's.
The lowest rated by critics of the three, the live-action film is considered a cult classic today. It certainly lacks a lot of the class the 1966 Grinch had by taking the Grinch's unpleasant nature and putting more focus on it. It also detracts from that sense of classiness to see so many pop culture references and the use of pop music. The Who's, rendered in live action, can come across as disturbing, and the more cynical humor can be jarring for people expecting something akin to the wholesome storytelling of the original.
Hey, honey! Our baby's here! He looks just like your boss.
I love it. Maybe it's because it's one of the two versions I grew up with, but I always thought it was awesome, even if some years I didn't care for it as much. The set designs are ambitious attempts to render the world of Dr. Seuss in live action, and a ton of work was put into making Whoville feel packed and lively. The Grinch's lair is a feast for the eyes as well. Jim Carrey saw the subtle playfulness of the 1966 Grinch and expanded upon it to be one of the character's most defining and endearing qualities, and to great effect in my opinion. One of my most favorite things about the movie is also probably the part that a lot of critics hated, the cynicism. The movie portrays a lot of the worst parts of Christmas, from the wastefulness to the rush to the fake politeness. It also takes the time to really show the shallowness of the commercial aspect of Christmas, and portrays the Who's love for Christmas as something manic and
superfluous.
Having the Who's be shallow consumers who have lost sight of what Christmas means is one of the strongest aspects of this version. While the original Grinch story was keen to leave the Grinch's motivations at he was grumpy, this movie dares to ask if the Grinch might be a little justified in his hate of the holiday. It dares to portray the Who's as less than perfect, holding a cartoon mirror up to society and saying, "This is you." We get told that the Grinch was bullied as a child for being different from everyone else, which culminated on Christmas when his genuine attempt to give his crush a handcrafted gift led his bullies to bully him even more.
Merry Christmas, Martha May. Look at that hack job! Stupid! Prove it! I hate Christmas!
It was a horrible day when they were so cruel to him. And I could hardly bear it.
The Who's down in Whoville like Christmas a lot. In fact, they're zealots for the holiday. Despite that, they ostracize the Grinch for being different, to the point where the Grinch embraces the villain role just to make it hurt less. The Who's are the ultimate hypocrites, claiming to love a holiday that's about festive cheer and goodwill to all while treating those different from them as lesser.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's always been about. Gifts. Gifts. Gifts, 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 gifts. They all come to me. In your garbage. You see what I'm saying? In your garbage. I could hang myself with all the bad Christmas neckties I found at the dump. The avarice never ends.
The fact is, a lot of people in real life are that way. They claim to be all about Christmas and goodwill, but then turn around and judge people they don't understand. They're intolerant to their relatives and then are shocked when their relatives don't visit for Christmas, all the while refusing to consider that they themselves are the ones who need to change. The mayor of Whoville makes himself the main figurehead of the Christmas celebration, while also being the same guy who bullied the Grinch and continues to ostracize him. Intolerance wrapped in a flag of goodwill. Where have I seen that before? While I can understand why this version of the Grinch is off-putting to a lot of people, it just strikes me as something truer and more relatable, and that's what makes it a solid adaptation of the Grinch. Well, I mean, the humor might be swaying my opinion a bit.
I came to see you. No one should be alone on Christmas.
That's a lot less cool.
Max!
2018's Grinch is very well animated and looks very good, and the acting is also really solid. Yeah, I really don't like this version very much. For one thing, this version of the story is really sanitized and safe, not just in comparison to the Jim Carrey version, but even compared to the 1966 version. This movie has their own version of the Grinch song, and it mentions the Grinch's teeth being yellow, but on screen we see these pearly white teeth that aren't even crooked.
Who is this mean fellow with his skin all green and his teeth all yellow? His teeth all yellow.
He also doesn't have yellow eyes like the other two versions had for most of their runtime. His silhouette is in the general shape of the book version, but the way the book version is drawn makes him look like a cryptid or something, while Illumination's version looks more like a mascot for an allergy medicine. The Who's are never portrayed as annoying outside of this one sequence, which doesn't even make sense. Like, why are the carolers chasing the Grinch here? Even the 1966 version, and even as far back as the original book, the Grinch complains about the Who's being noisy, but here the Who's are just perfect, friendly creatures who aren't even too loud too often. The sanitization goes so far as to make the Grinch's actions not really make sense. Like, in every previous version of the Grinch mistreats his dog Max at first, until the end of the movie where he learns his lesson. But in this movie, he's shown being nice to Max and even this reindeer named Fred throughout the entire runtime. Like, at the end, the Grinch gives Max a present, and it's treated like this big breakthrough, but he was pretty nice to Max throughout the rest of the movie, so it doesn't hit so hard. This version of the Grinch is a borderline sweetheart, and during this scene where he releases Fred the reindeer so Fred can be with his family, I was a little shocked that the Grinch was still going through with his plan to steal Christmas. This version of the Grinch character just isn't into it. It feels like he's hating Christmas out of obligation due to being the Grinch. Like, there's multiple points in the movie where I thought for sure he was going to give up on stealing Christmas, and then he just kept going through with it anyways. It's just weird that he's consistently nice to his pets and shows himself capable of empathy, choosing not to inflict his pain on others, but then continues trying to steal Christmas to inflict his pain on others. This sanitization runs so deep into the movie and into every crack and crevice. Even Pharrell Williams' narration is sanitized. It's this radiant happiness that comes across to me as ingenuine and never breaks for even a moment. When Boris Karloff and Anthony Hopkins would describe the Grinch's hate, they would change their tone to reflect that. Meanwhile, Pharrell Williams' narration is fine, I guess. It sounds more like an ad read than somebody reading a storybook to me.
But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
But the Grinch, in his cave north of Whoville, did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season.
Yes, the Grinch hated Christmas. The whole Christmas season.
I don't know, the whole movie has this very corporate vibe. Despite being 20 minutes shorter than the Jim Carrey version, more of the runtime in this is dedicated to the most boilerplate gags that don't even really advance the plot. They even dedicate a chunk of the movie to a screaming goat. Hey, remember the screaming goats, kids? Isn't the screaming goat funny and relevant in the year 2018, let alone 2024? Another weird thing is how downplayed the commercialism is. The Grinch in this version was an orphan growing up, so he didn't get to have a Christmas tree or presents, but really he's just lonely and resents the people of Whoville for not being lonely like him. Even though all the Whos extend a hand to him, including this guy who sees the Grinch as a friend for the whole movie. The Grinch doesn't hate Christmas for its superfluous nature, but instead hates it because he couldn't have it growing up. The narrator pays some lip service to the idea that the presents are unnecessary, and the mom assures Cindy Lou that the gifts are just stuff and that they don't need it for Christmas. But it's treated as almost an aside next to the real message of the movie, which is, I don't know, be happy or something. Even the scene at the top of Mount Crumpet kind of muddles the message. In the other two versions, the Grinch hears the Who singing, their community spirit on full display, and realizes that Christmas means a little bit more. This Grinch does too, but he already knows Christmas means more. He's just upset he didn't have it growing up, so what does this realization even mean here? And then, to top it all off, the sleigh begins to fall off of the ledge, like the other two versions, but in this version, the Grinch throws himself off the ledge to try and save the sleigh full of presents. Hold on, I thought the gifts are just stuff, but he nearly dies to rescue it? In the 66 version, lifting the sleigh might muddle the message a little, but the Grinch doesn't put his life at serious risk to do this one small act of goodwill for the Whos. In the 2000 version, the Grinch almost gives up on saving the sleigh, reminding himself that it's only toys, and only commits to saving the sleigh when he sees that Cindy Lou is on top. This Grinch, he leaps off of a cliff and almost throws his life away to save the commercialism. He almost dies to save this mound of just stuff. This part, along with the mixed messaging of the rest of the movie, just really muddles the message. It almost entirely moves the criticism away from commercialism and places it entirely on the Grinch. In fact, the ending of the movie implies that the real problem is being alone on Christmas, and if you're lonely, just don't be. And then the final note of the movie, the thing they decided was most important to leave the audience with, is another screaming goat. You can't make this up. You can probably tell what my least favorite Grinch is, but my favorite of the three might surprise you. The 1966 version is probably the best of the three with its quality, classiness, and value as an icon. The 1966 short added so much to what we consider par for the course when it comes to the Grinch, from the music to an entire scene that wasn't originally a part of the story. It laid the foundations the other two were built on, and is probably the best for that reason. But my favorite of the three is the 2000 film. You might think that it's my favorite because of Jim Carrey's performance, or because of the humor, or the set design, or the cynicism I praised before, but the thing that really wins me over is this film's version of Cindy Lou Who. In the original book and animated short, Cindy Lou is more or less just an obstacle for the Grinch to overcome, while representing the purity of childhood. But the live-action movie took this one-note character and took her in an unexpected direction. Cindy Lou in this movie is feeling disillusioned about the Christmas season. The magic is gone for her, and she's beginning to see the holiday as something
Superfluous?
Her conflict is summarized in the song Where Are You Christmas, where she laments that Christmas has lost its meaning the older she's gotten. The Christmas tree, the presents, the lights, the festivities, they're all still there, but they're beginning to feel hollow to her. I think the reason this character strikes a chord with me is because I'm that way. In fact, I've been this way about Christmas for over a decade now. Now, on the day itself, I can get myself more in the mood, but for the most part, the magic feels lost to me. Cindy Lou is the one who asks and learns about the Grinch's backstory, and is the one who reaches out to him to try and save him from his solitude. She's the one who advocates for the Grinch as someone who isn't inherently anti-Christmas, the one who sets out to prove that the Grinch is misunderstood and has a place in society. The Grinch hates Christmas in this movie because he and his handmade present were shunned. He doesn't see the holiday as something that represents goodwill and togetherness, but as something that strictly represents commercialism and is reserved for those deemed normal. Cindy Lou can also see the shallowness of the presents, and sees the hypocrisy of Whoville for preaching Christmas cheer while ostracizing one of its own. Cindy Lou and the Grinch's friendship is the heart of the movie that makes it work, and the question proposed by Cindy's song, Where Are You Christmas, is the central conflict, going so far as to be used as a motif in the music at pivotal moments in the film.
Where are you, Christmas? Do you remember?
What are you doing up there?
At the end, the Grinch and Cindy together found the Christmas that had been lost to them by the simple act of them, these two souls who hardly know each other, being there for each other on Christmas. There will always be Mayor Augustuses around, rich dudes who claim to be Christmas warriors while preaching exclusion and spreading ignorance, but that can't stop us from doing the simple act of being there for one another. And that is why How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000 is my favorite Grinch movie. I see myself in Cindy Lou. I see myself in the Grinch. And I see the people of Whoville and Mayor Augustus around me all the time. But this movie, despite its cynicism, tells us that there's still hope. That nothing can really stop the simple gesture of reaching out. You know, I think we get it backwards sometimes. We often think that Christmas is about the happiness, that all the winter holidays are about the happiness. And in a way, that isn't entirely wrong. These winter holidays are about family and community and good cheer and goodwill and all that fuzzy, warm stuff. But the reason we choose to celebrate these things is because it's so damn cold. During the holidays, we all gather close together because alone we get cold, and we put up pretty lights because the nights are at their longest and darkest, and we have feasts and give gifts to make plentiful of a time of scarcity. We choose this time because want is keenly felt, and abundance rejoices, you might say. Christmas is not about the happiness. Christmas, I think, is about the sadness. My name is Preston, and it is Christmas, and I am sad. And that's okay. There's no shame there. And maybe you're out there and Christmas isn't how you remember it either. Maybe your parents aren't who you remembered them as, or aren't the people you wish they were. Maybe you aren't seeing family anymore because they cut you out or you had to cut them out. Maybe you're in a situation where you don't have the trees or the lights. Hell, maybe you just aren't feeling it this year. And you know what? That's okay. There's no shame in any of that. Christmas is about the sadness, in the sense that we need to be reminded that there's still goodness out there, no matter how nasty life can get. So, forget the trees and the lights and the presents for just 1 second, and let me say, I see you, and I feel you, and I'm sorry, and I wish you well, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, no matter what that may look like to you, and in spite of everything going on. I wish you happy days in these cold months. The traditions, the rituals, they're just vehicles for no more than the basic human sentiment that we should wish each other well in hard times. I know wishes don't mean much. There's only so much action one can take, but I still wish you all well. I hope you stay strong and warm, and I hope something good falls in your lap. And I hope you don't forget that you are not alone. Not on this earth, anyhow. I am about to spend the holidays far, far away from a home I will never return to, with many a plan dashed for reasons both related and unrelated to that. It's a lonely little Christmas this year. And that's okay, because I know the snow will clear eventually, and things will get warmer, and I'll be back on my feet soon enough, and I'll make new plans, and that it's not over. So, if you're sick of the trees, or the feasts, or the family, maybe instead just reach out to someone. Maybe a friend you haven't checked in on in too long, or someone you just enjoy talking to, or maybe even just a stranger who looks like they need it. Hell, just talk to someone, anyone, for any reason, so that you can remind each other that you're not in this alone. Just be kind to yourself. And if you have time, be kind to each other too. Class dismissed. Happy holidays. See you next semester. Don't slip on the ice at the administration building stairs, by the way. They're very tricky. But trust me, I had a fall back in June. They're tricky enough without the ice. Like, seriously, be careful on those stairs, alright? Alright, Merry Christmas. Drive safely. I mean it. Drive safely. It's a snowy one.
Merry Christmas, Professor.
Oh, hey. Merry Christmas, Derek.
Good lecture as always.
You must be listening to someone else with headphones during my lectures if you're giving me compliments like that.
So, quite a year, huh?
Ugh, yeah, with the election going that way, just oof, ouch.
No, I mean, quite a year for you. It did some pretty good lectures this year, I think.
Oh, I suppose so. I'm inclined to agree, since it wasn't just you telling me this time.
So, like, you mentioned some pretty heavy stuff back there, dude. Are you doing okay?
Depends on how you define okay. I find I'm pretty numb to it for the most part. I mean, a house is just a house, and plans are just plans. I feel like I've had the proverbial wind knocked out of me, and at the same time my proverbial house of cards knocked over. But I can catch my breath, and I can pick up the cards, and so on and so on.
Alright. I just hope you aren't going to spend Christmas alone.
Oh, no. If that's what you're worried about, no. I never spend Christmas alone. I've got my immediate family, my internet people. I'm not alone at all. No, not alone, never alone, just lonely. But that's my norm for the holidays. Don't put too much thought into it.
You know, they're throwing a pretty cool Christmas party on campus next week. Why don't you come?
I appreciate the offer, but no. I feel stupid enough feeling lonely with my little family. I don't need to feel even stupider by being lonely with tens of people around me. Things have been a little tough, and I'm a little sad on Christmas time. But that's not the end of the world, especially when there's people like you to let me know I'm cared for.
So, you're going to be okay?
Oh, Derek, if there's one thing I am always eventually going to be, it's okay. I'll catch my breath, pick myself up, and dust myself off, and before you or I know it, I'll be back like nothing happened. Yes, I will definitely be back.